wants to intro the show?
I don't mind, I suppose.
Flip a coin.
There's 3 of us, you dipshit.
I know, that was the joke.
No, I'll do it. Are we gonna do a clap sync first, or are we just?
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot
that's
about
what I was
clap
waiting
syncs.
for.
Yeah.
Gets me every time.
You just can never hear it, can you?
Yeah.
No, because you've got your thingamajig, your sensitivity on Discord, like the noise gate is. It tries to stop.
Nicely put.
Yeah.
Oh well. At least we have the visual.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Exactly.
Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Higgledy Piggledy podcast. I am introing the show today. My name is Alex. Today, I am joined by my 2 co-hosts. I guess one of you can choose to go first.
Hi, I'm Tommy. Nice to meet you.
I am Callum. Voice actor of Jinx and renowned bounty hunter.
Yes. Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, Pete's sadly not with us today because he's got shit internet.
Yeah. I am Peter. I'm cold.
That's why he's wearing the beanie.
And the
Do you
hoodie.
want to throw up the peace sign as well? Just
No, but what I will
regalia?
do is actually quickly, just like right out of the gate, try and get a sponsorship. This hoodie is brought to you by Bear Hug. This hoodie, this beanie also came from Bear Hug. I think it came with the hoodie as a drop. So Bear Hug, if you want to sponsor us, that's my piece.
He said peace.
He did. It's partially completed.
I think the glasses also add to the hipsterness, but that's because I've got a headache. So I'm just trying to
Oh, God.
I think I'm just ill.
Yeah,
First day on my 2-week holiday off work, and I'm ill. So yay.
So ill, dude.
This is pretty sick, dude.
Sick!
Pretty wizard.
Oh no, let's not start with that.
And you're watching
Okay.
the Higgledy Piggledy podcast. I can't remember if he said that during the intro, so I'm just going to
did.
cap
was,
it off. And
one
then
of the first things he said.
Yeah,
And he's getting better at saying it as well.
Yeah.
That's going to be the end of this chapter on YouTube. And we're going to jump into whatever this chapter is going to be.
I'm getting better at it because I'm going slower. That's it.
Also, just want to point out, Tommy saw Chester today. Where's our fucking intro song?
I didn't think about that. I had a whole weekend with him.
For those of you who don't know, he has a son called Chester.
I think we mentioned that in a previous episode. So if you don't know that, then watch all of the other episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you don't like Arcane or The Witcher, watch them anyway because we want views.
We don't care about your time.
I care about your time.
He does.
we do care about your time. We want you to watch our stuff.
Yeah.
That's why we care.
We care about your time because we want you to use your time watching our stuff.
Exactly. So watch all of our stuff.
If you've got more time, watch it again.
Yes.
Okay.
Hawkeye, I guess?
You're hosting this show, so...
Oh, I'm hosting. Okay.
No, dropping the ball here, man.
Oh shit, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about some Hawkeye today and maybe some other bits and pieces. There are a couple things that we want to go into. Might be a bit of a short podcast because we don't really have an awful lot to talk about, at least the stuff that's come up for us over the last couple of weeks, or I guess over the last week. It's only been like little glimpses of stuff, like we're talking about maybe the Mass Effect series. Obviously there's not a lot of information there, but yeah, we'll
Also,
cover a few things.
what a shit fucking day we chose to fucking do this podcast. It was fine for Arcane, but the next episode of Hawkeye is coming out in 2 days' time. So we're like 5 days late to talk about it because it comes out on a Wednesday.
Well, I mean, you say that, not...
Sorry.
I was just going to say, you say that, but not everyone is going to be able to watch it on or around the day that it releases. So who knows?
Yeah.
If we get if we have an audience who watches Hawkeye, or we get a bigger audience who wants to come back, then they might not have seen it before we.
If you live in a country that doesn't have Disney Plus yet, just like we lived in a country that didn't have Disney Plus yet when The Mandalorian season 1 was releasing, then maybe you'll watch this rather than watch the actual show. Doubt it. Probably just pirate it. That's what I did with Mandalorian season 1.
I mean, fair.
You should be watching this instead, though, as we said earlier, with your time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's probably started watching at this point because we've just done a shitty fucking sponsorship in the first 2 minutes, and then we've just talked about why you should watch our show rather than actually giving them a reason to watch our show.
Good content. Still, I think 5 days is pretty on the ball for us. Seeing as we were talking about Alex was talking about The Witcher for half an hour a couple of weeks ago.
Probably longer, really. I mean, we've done a whole fucking episode on pretty much just Arcane. So, like, if people, if people still come back and watch us after watching that episode, then...
Yeah, it was a good episode. Just monotopicological.
Well, yeah. But yeah,
anyway.
Hawkeye.
What did everyone think?
It was okay.
Yeah, that's kind of the boat I'm in.
I think I was more excited for it than I got. Like, I was more excited for it than I actually got out of it. Like, after seeing Black Widow, because it's like, anyone that knows me, they know that I don't really like Hawkeye or Black Widow. In fact, over Black Widow's death scene, I thought it was just bloody hilarious that the two most useless characters were arguing over who was gonna kill themselves. That really got me. But after seeing the Black Widow movie, I was like, okay, shit, that was actually like a really good film. And like, I kind of wish I actually got to see more of like
Asterix, except for Taskmaster.
It's except for Taskmaster, because they just fucked it. I don't know, like, yeah. That got to me a little bit, but overall the film was really enjoyable. And I was like, oh wow, I kind of actually would have liked to have seen more of the character if they did stuff like that, instead of just having her kind of be like just a side character pretty much, and just kind of like, oh, watch all of these main superheroes do their stuff, and now just watch Hawkeye and Black Widow basically do the same thing they always do.
In Black Widow's defense, I think they basically always gave Black Widow at least one cool thing to do in each movie she was in. Iron Man 2, it's like her intro, and so she does the cool like corridor fight sequence. Someone else later on did it much better, just saying 3 times in fact. But yeah, it's she started it. They bang in the comic, so it feels fitting anyways. But Daredevil, please come back. Anyways,
also the Punisher.
He had a decent corridor fight scene in Daredevil season 2.
He also had some decent choreographed fight scenes in his series.
Yeah, he had loads of great fight scenes, but not many in corridors.
I'm pretty sure he's also banged Black Widow.
Punisher?
I think so.
Well, didn't know that. Daredevil was in a full-blown relationship with her, and then he got into a fight with Hawkeye over her at one point, and I think there's this whole bit where Hawkeye doesn't realize that Daredevil's blind and keeps on like shooting flashbang arrows at him, and just they don't do anything to him. And then Daredevil, because he's trying to pretend not to be blind, has to like fake that he's been blinded by them. It's stupid. Anyways, so yeah, and then she has the cool sequence with the Hulk in Avengers 1. She doesn't really have anything good to do in Age of Ultron, but no one has anything really good to do in Age of Ultron, so I'll give that one a free pass. Winter Soldier, she's great in. Civil War, she has that cool moment where she like takes down Black Panther and like switches sides. I thought that was quite a cool moment for her. And Infinity War, she's pretty good in, but then Endgame, yeah, she has the argument over who gets to commit suicide. But like Hawkeye's just kind of been throughout all of his movies. The only thing I like about him is his relationship with Scarlet Witch. Basically, I like how he like looks after her a little bit.
The stuff about him having a family is pretty cool as well.
It's
He's
fine,
like
but
a relatable-ish element to the Avengers.
Yeah, but I feel like when they first get introduced, you know, it's like, oh wow, Hawkeye has a family. Well, I was just like, well, I don't really know enough about like we've not seen enough of the character or know enough about him to really give a shit that he has a family. Like he has a family, so what? I don't care. You know, like.
Oof.
I think the thing for me is I find Jeremy Renner to be kind of in the same realm as Matt Damon and Ben Affleck of just like, I just don't care about you as an act. Like none of your performances have ever blown me away. You're fine. You exist. You act. Mark Wahlberg's in that group as well as just like generic white actors who are fine.
Don't stick him with Mark Wahlberg. That's such an insult.
There's just all four of them are just like, if you don't have anyone better to cast in your movie and you need a white protagonist for an action movie. Case in point, when Matt Damon dropped out of the Bourne films or whatever happened, I don't know why he wasn't in one of the Bourne films, but then they brought in Jeremy Renner to be not Jason Bourne, but to be the new guy in the Bourne films, and then everyone went, that was bad, and they went, all right, let's bring back Matt Damon again. So, like, Jeremy Renner is just, he's fine, I don't dislike him, but I've just... What the fuck was that noise?
It's probably my WhatsApp.
No, it sounded like an ice cream truck for like half a second.
Oh, I don't know then.
I didn't hear anything.
Well, it was in the flat or nearby. But yeah, he's just fine. He's just fine. That's all I can like. I've never found him to be like mind blowing as a character, and I think if you had cast someone, I don't think he would have fit the role, but if you'd cast someone more like Chris Hemsworth, who is like super charismatic and likable in pretty much everything he's in, then I think I'd care more about Hawkeye as a character in the MCU. And you know, despite her being a somewhat stupid person sometimes, Scarlett Johansson is a pretty charismatic actor, so like she works for Black Widow in that way. So
yeah, no, I agree about Jeremy Renner. The other three, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and Mark Wahlberg. Well, I have a soft spot for Matt Damon and Ben Affleck because I'm a big Kevin Smith movie fan. So I'm kind of biased towards liking them. And Mark Wahlberg, I just think he's been in quite a few like decent films. I think he's just like most of his films I laugh at. I don't think he's that bad, really.
I'm not sure whether you're supposed to laugh at all of his films, though. There's lots of films with Mark Wahlberg in them where I'm not sure I'm supposed to be laughing at him, but I am.
Ted's all right, but that's probably the only film that I kind of enjoyed that he's in.
I like what's it called? Daddy's Home?
Oh, the one with Will Ferrell.
Yeah, those films, they fucking crack me up. I don't know what it is about them. Like, I just thought they were really hilarious. But yeah, fair enough. But yeah, Jeremy Renner, yeah, not brilliant. But
he's also just like Hawkeye in the comics is just a better character than Hawkeye in the MCU. And I think the show is doing an okay job so far of getting him closer to his comic counterpart. But he's really fucking funny in the comics. And he's just not in the MCU. So
he doesn't have a family in the comics either, does he?
I don't know if he's never had a family in the comics, but the main Hawkeye comic series, My Life as a Weapon, that the show is adapting from, he is a bachelor who literally is a landlord in New York during that comic, and he's just like best mates with all of his tenants. And like a lot of the comic is just dedicated to him just hanging out as a normal guy when he's not doing Avengers stuff. So yeah.
But yeah, I think after watching the Black Widow movie, I was like, yeah, I would have liked to have seen more of this side of the character. And after seeing that, I was like, wow, they made me actually like Black Widow. I'm very excited to see what they can do for Hawkeye. I haven't really got that yet. Like, it's, as I said, it's fine. Like, it just seems like I'm watching more of the Hawkeye we've already seen, and I like Kate Bishop. I think she's like a decent addition, but also I just it it doesn't feel like an MCU project.
It does to me, but it feels different. And I think the main thing for me is that Hawkeye at the moment doesn't feel like an action adventure with comedy in it. It feels like a comedy with some action adventure in it, which is not bad, but it's different to what I expected. But then looking back at the marketing is very much like this is a Christmas show. Like it's like it's all about it being set during Christmas and being fun. But for some reason, I was still thinking it was going to be closer to like Black Widow maybe, and it's just not. I don't think that's inherently a bad thing. I think my biggest gripe so far with the show, and I've briefly talked about this with Tommy, and Tommy kind of came up with a reason why he thinks it might be, but I think the action's kind of crap so far.
Oh, you on about when you were saying you weren't a fan of the choreography with Kate Bishop's fight scenes?
Yeah, the first fight with her dressed as
Yeah,
Ronin.
and what
Oh,
I said was,
minor
yeah.
spoilers for Hawkeye during this discussion. Then we might go into bigger ones. But she dresses up as Ronin. It's in the trailer. Whatever. Yeah.
fits it very well. But yeah, he said he didn't like the choreography in that fight scene, and I said it might be intentional because obviously she's quite green at this point. She's not experienced in actual combat, so
Yeah, and
could be because of that.
it could be, and we haven't really had another proper fight scene since then. Season 2 has kind of a fight scene in the form of the LARPing sequence, but not really. And so, but that one, it could be that, and I guess we'll see if the fight scenes get better. But it just felt really kind of like whoever was designing that fight sequence had never shot a fight sequence before. Like the choreography is not bad, but the way it's shot just really accentuates the fact that it's planned, in the sense of character grabs Kate Bishop, half a second passes, Kate Bishop does her next move, and you could almost think that it's maybe that Haley Steinfeld doesn't know her choreography. But if that was the case, she's wearing a mask and a hood. Bring in your stunt double who does know the choreography. So I don't know whether that's the issue, and it feels like it's more a blocking issue than anything else. So yeah, maybe it's intentional, but that just kind of made me feel like not loving this fight, and hopefully they fight more with their bow and arrow, because that might be easier to shoot than fist fights. But yeah, so the action's kind of been lacking, but then I feel like it's not an action orientated show at this point, so maybe that's why.
And I'm okay with that personally, if it's not so action heavy. I've been enjoying the different feel that the MC has been putting out. Like I've said before in other podcasts, another 10 years of the same thing, I can't handle it. So,
and it feels like
genres.
It feels like more than anything else, season 4 is trying to do different things with different properties and let people be a bit more creative. So yeah, I do think it's a good thing, but it means that I would probably rate Hawkeye at the moment with the first 2 episodes at like maybe like a 7 out of 10.
Fair enough.
It would be pretty low on my overall MCU scoring.
Yeah, I'd probably say about a 6 for me. Like I kind of agree with Tom in the fact that I'm generally with a show, I'm okay if there's less sort of like action and combat and everything in it, especially MCU, if there's good character progression and like the characters are likable. So like obviously with like Scarlet Witch and or WandaVision, I thought this is like a very story driven thing. There was barely any action in it until like really the final episode, but like it kept me hooked. I'm not feeling that with Hawkeye. I think a lot of the characters are very unlikable, really. Even Kate Bishop, really didn't like in the beginning. Like I really had to warm up to her, and she's the only character that I have warmed up to. Even Clint, I don't really like Clint.
Mm.
Like I feel like so far the only thing he's given me that makes me think I should like him is the fact that he has a family and that he cares about his family. And I feel like that's kind of what they did with by giving him a family in
Age of Ultron.
yeah, like, oh, this character has fuck all else going on, so we'll just give him a family, and now suddenly he has something to lose and something to fight for. That's his character, and like it doesn't have that effect on me. I'm just like, why do I care about him?
One character has had pretty good character progression so far. Whatever Clint's daughter's name is. Because she has the whole, like, what the hell? I thought I'm the one who's in charge. I'm the only one responsible. And then Clint's like, yeah, you are the one in charge. Don't tell anyone else, though. And then she's like, nice. It's character progression, man.
I disagree. I think the only character that's had any character progression is Lucky the pizza dog.
Yeah, I knew somebody was going to say the dog. That dog should be long dead. After that first slice of pizza, it should have been keeled over on a ball.
Yeah, but he's sick.
Again,
He should be sick. Yes, that's the point.
we don't know that pizza isn't something that a dog can eat. I just don't think anyone should try it.
I don't.
And I'm really worried that we're going to see an article at some point saying some kid fed the dog pizza and the dog did die because they watched Hawkeye, because, you know, people were stupid enough to go buy huskies after Game of Thrones because they wanted dire wolves and then gave them back because they didn't actually want dogs or didn't want huskies,
Yeah, they should have just fed them pizza.
But you know, for all I know, it could be fine. I don't think you should put olives on them because olives are like a stone's throw away from grapes, and grapes are definitely bad for dogs. But cheese is fine for dogs. I don't know whether tomato's okay. Bread's not. I don't think you should give a dog bread, which is dough basically. But my dog has knocked over the birdhouse in our garden before and helped herself to stale bread and hasn't died. All of our dogs have managed to do that, so it's probably okay, just not great. So maybe it's a meat's fine. So like maybe just like standard pepperoni would be fine, but I still wouldn't advise it. It's still not like a great thing to give to your dog, but it might be okay. It might be not fatal.
Come and join us at the Higgledy Piggledy podcast where we talk about your dog's dietary requirements.
Do you want to try and do that one again, but slower, because you fucked it up again?
Are you sure?
You said Higgledy Biggledy.
I don't think I did.
It sounded like Higgledy Biggledy. We'll play it back.
Come and join us at the Higgledy Piggledy podcast where we Higgledy Piggledy.
Who was right? Who was wrong? Tell us in the comments.
Yeah, please give us comments. we crave interaction, human interaction. Please do it.
Okay. But yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine, and I think it's rough because WandaVision instantly gripped me. Falcon and Winter Soldier, wouldn't say it instantly gripped me, but it pretty quickly gripped me, and those two characters, we've known them for a long time, they're both really likable, so that helps. And then Loki was just like instant gripping me, so this one just hasn't yet. And I said to Tommy at the time, I said, pretty sure they did a 2-episode premiere, because if they had just released episode 1's kind of just a shit episode on its own. It's fine, it just doesn't really get anywhere quickly. And then episode 2 is the one that actually starts to give us a bit of that Clint and Kate dynamic, which is, I guess, the main point of the show. And that's the part that people are coming here for. So if you didn't have that in the first episode, then you need to release the first 2 episodes back to back. So, yeah.
Also, I just had a reminder when you said about Loki. One of my colleagues at work, he had a week off on holiday or something, and he met up with his friend who introduced him to his new girlfriend, and she is a set designer for like a bunch of different films and what have you. And apparently she said, and quick disclaimer, I don't want to slander anyone, and this is not coming from me. I have no evidence for this. But apparently, she said that Tom Hiddleston is a pervert and that he was watching women like changing, and she had to tell him that it was inappropriate. How is that for some fucking spicy gossip? So if Tom Hiddleston gets cancelled, you heard it here first, folks.
Well, that's a interesting topic. I don't know what to say to that.
I just thought that was interesting.
So how about that Liam Neeson? This is a lighter topic.
I mean, I feel like the Liam Neeson one's still worse. Again, we're not going to say what it is. Google it if you want to know. But, well, no, they're still pretty bad if that's true about Tom Hiddleston. But Liam Neeson literally said what he said. Again, we're not going to get into it. While Tom Hiddleston, that's allegedly from someone. But yikes, dude.
Yep.
Allegedly. Hashtag allegedly. Yep. We're not saying anything. I'm not going to comment on it. If he did that, he's a scummy person. Lots of celebrities are. If he didn't do that, then yeah.
Yeah. No, my mum told me about it earlier, and I was just like, that's very interesting to me.
Well. Fucking Christ. What were we talking about again?
Hawkeye.
Yeah, Hawkeye.
Let's just do a quick deep dive into Hawkeye spoilers. Try and get us away from that topic as quickly as possible. So her stepdad's evil, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of hope they go down the route where he actually isn't.
So I'm pretty sure I heard somewhere on the interwebs that he is actually a established Marvel villain in the comics called the Swordsman. I don't know whether his real name is it or whether that's just a theory because he's a swordsman. Yeah, so I reckon he is going to be a villain. But the thing is with this show, and there's a lot of rumors about this show as well, which doesn't help with this, but it feels like it's going to get crazy with how many villains are going to get intersected. Because we've got the Tracksuit Mafia, who are from the comics that this show is largely based on. You've got Echo, who shows up at the end of episode 2. We are in spoiler talk. I don't know whether I gave enough of a break. So just before I go any further, spoilers. Did say it, but I just want to make sure if people are still watching this and they don't want spoilers, they have clicked off of it now. So continuing on. Echo at the end of episode 2. Supposedly, and I'm pretty sure this is confirmed, but I don't know 100%, so I'm just going to say supposedly, Yelena is going to show up. Obviously, she was teased at the end of Black Widow to be going after Hawkeye, so it would make sense. But I don't know if it's been 100% confirmed that Florence Pugh is in this show. But, probably. I'd say like a good 90%, unless it's 100% confirmed. So that's 3 villains right there, plus Swordsman. So 4 villains in this show already.
Pretty heavily rumored as well.
Yeah. So already that's getting pretty crowded with how many villains, and a lot of them are obviously like Echo is seemingly with the Tracksuit Mafia, but she's also going to get her own show, so she's probably going to turn a hero at some point. Maybe not in this show, but at some point. You've got at least 3 different directions that these 2 characters are going to get pulled in, which is already interesting. And then if the rumor's true that Kingpin's going to show up, okay, maybe he's the Tracksuit Mafia works for Kingpin or whatever. But so there's a lot of villains that are going to start pulling these characters in each different direction. I think that's an interesting thing, is I really don't know where this plot's going to go, but I don't think Swordsman's going to be the main villain based off of what we already know is going to show up in the show. So I reckon he's going to be maybe Kate Bishop's main villain, but not Clint's main villain for the show.
Yeah. No, I can see him being... He pretty much is so far Kate's main villain.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of Hawkeye and Kate having different villains and them having their own kind of story a bit, instead of Kate just inserting herself straight away. She's got to earn it.
I'd say Clint's more inserted himself into Kate's issues at the moment.
No, I mean more in the sense of obviously she is gonna be the new Hawkeye.
Mm.
So, but it's a bit awkward with Hawkeye because obviously we haven't seen a lot of him. He hasn't had his own show or movie or anything like that. He's just been on the sidelines with the Avengers. So for someone to just suddenly take his mantle
but
and
that happened
then
with Black
suddenly
Widow as
get
well.
more.
She didn't have her own solo movie until she did, and she's already dead by the time the solo movie came out, and it's all about
but
someone else taking
I
over
would
the
say
mantle.
that Hawkeye's was a lot. Hawkeye was the most shafted of all of the Avengers, like nothing. But what I mean is, the Hawkeye mantle has not got a lot to it yet, so it doesn't really seem like a big deal for Kate to take over being Hawkeye when Hawkeye hasn't done anything himself. So it's nice that he will have his own kind of story going on for him to complete before Kate becomes Hawkeye.
It's also worth noting that one of the producers of the show has explicitly said that there is room for more Clint Barton stories going forward. And
Yes.
Jeremy Renner has said that he would be game as long as the script's good. So, and in the comics, the Hawkeye title, mantle, whatever, gets passed to Kate Bishop, and then he kind of retires, and then he comes back and he's Hawkeye at the same time as her. I think at one point she gets her own hero name, but then she comes back to being Hawkeye. There's a lot of back and forth between it, and he's, you know, fully still able to do the Hawkeye stuff because he retires, but he's in like his 40s, so he can still do the stuff. So there's absolutely room for Kate Bishop to become Hawkeye, but also have Clint still in the MCU moving forward, whether as Hawkeye or as Clint Barton or as both. Again, I don't love, like, I don't need Jeremy Renner to continue as Hawkeye, but like I think one cool way to take it is that the one thing that Hawkeye has done in the MCU so far is he was basically the one who convinced Scarlet Witch to be an Avenger, and then was kind of comforting her at the end of Endgame. I like that side to that character and would like to see more of that. I think what would be cool is if we are getting the Young Avengers, maybe have Clint be basically the, like, the equivalent of Nick Fury, of like getting them together and kind of coaching them, but not too much.
It's not a bad idea, that.
Yeah.
I mean, he worked alongside them for, like, I mean, Shield, like, he worked alongside Shield and Nick Fury for what we can gather quite a long time.
Yeah.
Especially working alongside Black Widow, like, he probably knows some tips and tricks to help that sort of side things out. So,
not to mention, they've made him the family man father figure for years now. So,
yeah,
he is a good run for that.
And I can't think of a much better candidate because I don't think Bruce would be a particularly great fit. Thor's doing his own thing. Iron Man's dead. Nat's dead. Cap's on the moon. And obviously, like, we've got new Cap, we've got Sam as Captain America, but I don't think I think he's probably going to be a main player in the Avengers moving forward. I'm not sure whether he would fit for, like, guiding the Young Avengers, though, because maybe a little bit, because what's his name? Was it Arthur Bradley? Was that the character's name?
I think so.
I can't remember.
Something Bradley. I just can't remember.
Was it Isaiah?
Isaiah Bradley. That's it. Yeah. So his son also becomes a superhero in the comics. Well, not his son, his grandson or nephew, the young boy who's hanging out with Isaiah and goes to the museum with them. So he's probably going to become a Young Avenger. So Sam could, through that channel, get involved, but I still feel like he wouldn't really fit for leading them because he's doing his own thing as Captain America, which is a pretty big mantle. So, yeah, I think Clint's a pretty good fit for that sort of thing.
I kind of have what might seem like a redundant question, which is, do you think they're taking the steps to boost Hawkeye's popularity in the public eye? Because obviously the obvious answer is, well, duh, because they've made a whole series about him and the new Hawkeye. But, like, they could just do the series and then keep Kate kind of like on the low, like Clint was. But I feel like they've already addressed in the show that that was Clint's shtick, and Kate says, oh, your problem is branding. Like the reason you're not as popular as the other Avengers is because you wanted to, stay out the spotlight and everything. Do you think with Kate Bishop's Hawkeye, they're going to push her more into like the main Avengers team focus?
I don't think main Avengers, but I think she's going to be famous. I think she's going to be like in the limelight. I've read My Life as a Weapon, and I think that's probably the only main comic I've read with Kate Bishop in it. But the vibe I get from her is more of a kind of almost like a swashbuckling vibe of like, quite adventurous and quite loud. And again, Clint is more kind of low key. But I reckon that she's going to be Young Avengers. Even though she's 22 in the show, I think she said. But if she is going to be on the Young Avengers, which is my theory, then I reckon she's going to be basically the leader of the Young Avengers in terms of like the actual in the field one, because she's the oldest. Even with characters like Peter Parker, who I don't think he would be in the Young Avengers, it would be fitting, but I don't think he will be because he's actually an Avenger and whatever. But he would be younger than Kate. So like, yeah, I reckon she's probably going to be the leader, and I'm trying to think. Yelena's going to be Dark Avengers, so probably not going to be in Young Avengers as well. We're going to maybe get Wanda's kids, but they're like super young at the moment. Ironheart, Miss Marvel. Has anyone else been teased to be Young Avengers potentially?
Oh, you said Ironheart, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Shuri, but Shuri might take over as Black Panther moving forward.
I don't know. I'm unsure with all this controversy around the actress.
Yeah, but they're already making Wakanda forever, so whatever plot they've set on for that, they're probably going to have to stick to. They might recast Shuri if they wanted to, but if Shuri's already set to be the next Black Panther. That being said, Wakanda Forever could also not really be about who's the next Black Panther and more about
the absence of him.
Yeah, because I feel like it would be a little bit weird to replace him immediately, but we'll see when that movie comes out. I think of all the movies that are coming out in the MCU, that's the one I'm most curious about, just because it's such a shitty situation for them to be in, but it means like it's a really interesting thing to see which direction they're going to take it in, because I wouldn't want to be in the writing room for that film. That's going to be a tough fucking job, but
I know I said this on one of the podcasts before, but I think they should stay clear of Black Panther, and honestly, I think if they should literally just name it Wakanda Forever. I don't know if that is what it's called. Like, I don't know if it's Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
Yeah.
What if I like? Obviously, they're gonna do whatever they're gonna do, but I wouldn't have minded if they just called it Wakanda Forever and they focused on like the like political side of things, where it does go in the absence of like a Black Panther, and like how they're trying to deal with maybe like internal threats while also dealing with the fact that now they've kind of like joined the rest of the world. I think that would have been quite interesting, and also it would have sort of like moved away from the fact that Black Panther is not going to be in it.
My bet as to where they're going to take it is that it's probably going to be kind of like Into the Spider-Verse's message that anyone can be Spider-Man. It's just having like the message of Into the Spider-Verse is basically it doesn't matter who's behind the mask. Anyone could be Spider-Man if they had the powers. Wakanda has the tech, and they will have the thing. I can't even remember what it was, but the thing they swallowed that made them the Black Panther, like the heart thing. Whatever. The glowy plant thing they eat. So
they just smoked the herb.
So maybe Wakanda Forever's message is going to be that anyone can be Black Panther, in the sense of like it doesn't matter who's wearing the suit. It's all of Wakanda is Black Panther essentially. But yeah, I think, you know, Kate Bishop is probably the saving grace at the moment of the show. I think if this show didn't have Kate Bishop at the moment, I would just not really care at this point, 2 episodes in. I don't know how many episodes it's going to be. I hope it, like, as episode 2 ends off in a cool place, and I think it's got room to go into a cool direction, but yeah, the first 2 episodes are kind of And also, minor gripe, we're explicitly told when Clint goes LARPing that if he gets hit, he's dead because he's a newbie. And then he gets hit by like 8 people repeatedly and then just like does a whoa, and they all go flying off. I'm like, he's dead. He's cheating now.
Yeah.
So Clint's a dirty cheater just to get his Ronin armor. So hashtag cancel Clint Barton.
I gotta say, just while I remember it, like the ending to episode 2, that is the sole reason I'm gonna continue watching the series, and it falls down to just one line, which is when Kate falls through the ceiling and the guy just goes, "Bro, I found her."
I'm pretty sure that exact line is from the comics as well, though. Like the tracksuit mafia are fucking hilarious in the comics.
It
But
fucking killed me. It absolutely killed me.
I think you know, I'm excited to see Echo. She's so far, like the very brief glimpse that we see of her in episode 2, she looks very different to how she was introduced in the comics, but I'm still excited to see her. It's going to be interesting because she is currently seemingly the boss of the tracksuit mafia, so where is she going to end up where we're going into her own show? Because, you know, why is she a villain unless they're doing the thing from the comic books, which would be requiring Kingpin or a stand-in for Kingpin and Daredevil or a stand-in for Daredevil, which, you know, Kate Bishop or Clint could be the stand-in for Daredevil, but like there's got to be someone manipulating her if they want to do her origin from the comics. So be curious to see. Also, just saying, she was bathed in red light when we got introduced to her. Just saying. Please.
Daredevil wears red.
Please, Daddy Feige. Please, Daddy Feige. Give me what I want for Christmas. Yeah, it's fine. That's kind of my takeaway so far. Is it's just fine. Hopefully, it gets better.
I don't know much about Hawkeye in the comics or Echo or anything surrounding them, but I, like, as someone who doesn't know a lot, I think it's super weird that Echo is the leader of the tracksuit mafia. Like, the two just don't add up to me.
Yeah, well, she was basically an assassin in the comics when she was introduced, so it's different, but she was still a criminal when she was introduced. Obviously, they've both got the same disability now, which is they're both deaf.
So she's this badass deaf assassin who can copy her enemies' movements, but she's leading the tracksuit mafia.
She can't copy her enemies' movements. What?
She's not that's what I read on her wiki page.
She couldn't do that in the comics that I read, but maybe they introduced that later because comic books. But
yeah, maybe because I read that and I was like, well, fuck Taskmaster then, I guess. It just renders his whole fucking character useless.
In the comics where she's introduced, it's just established that she like basically picks up any talent insanely quickly. So like she like picked up piano really quickly even though she was deaf and that sort of thing. So like she can learn someone's fighting style pretty quickly, but it's not like just seeing them do it and instantly copy it. It's like
maybe that's it then.
Yeah, it's like if she studied Krav Maga, she'd learn it really quickly, sort of thing. But I don't know. It's comic books. They might have just gone, yeah, we're giving her Taskmaster's ability. So
I mean, Taskmaster barely fucking used it, so.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes, but the first 2 episodes didn't grip me. We'll know more soon, because the next 2 episodes come out in 2 days, so. Not next 2 episodes, I keep on saying next 2 episodes, it's just 1 episode, I'm pretty sure, moving forward, but anyways. I do want to quickly, anyone else want to talk about any other spoilers, because otherwise I want to change the topic slightly.
I think that's probably it for me. I don't think there's much to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing that is kind of shitty is, and Marvel's been accused of this a lot. DC's probably also accused of it a lot, but no one cares about DC as much, so it's not as much in the limelight. But basically on Twitter, someone posted a comparison between the Hawkeye poster, which is like Clint and Kate next to each other, and it's got the purple arrow shape against a white backdrop, and they compared that to one of the covers for Hawkeye My Life is a Weapon, which is the comic that this show is mainly based off of. And it was something, the tweet was basically alleging that Marvel should have really given credit to the writer and creator of this comic for the inspiration behind the show, like just saying something like inspired by, and then the artist who drew all of those comics and that particular run has like a very iconic visual style, said, yeah, it'd be nice if they paid me as well. So and this happened as well with Falcon and Winter Soldier, where the creator of, not the creator of Bucky, but the creator of the Winter Soldier basically alleged that, they create these comics for Marvel and they get paid for that job, but then when Marvel Studios then goes on to adapt that stuff in a TV show or a movie, the people who created the stories that are heavily inspiring these movies and TV shows, which make billions, don't see any royalties from it. They just get the royalties from the comic book. Well, obviously, comics as a medium are dying anyways, slowly. So, yeah, basically, a lot of artists and writers have come forward basically saying they're not getting fair compensation. So I was wondering what your guys' thoughts are on that. Some people are saying they're going to boycott the show. I'm not going to do that, but I do think it sucks that a really, really critically acclaimed comic book has been adapted into a very big budget TV show, and the guys who did the comic book aren't getting any extra compensation for it. But what are your guys' thoughts?
I don't know enough about how their jobs work and how their contracts work, because for all I know, when they first signed a contract to write for Marvel or to illustrate for Marvel, in their contract it could say it belongs to Marvel and can be used in blah 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 blah.
It almost certainly does,
yeah,
because otherwise they'd be being sued to high heaven, which they're not. They're just getting a lot of negative press from it, but they're not being sued or anything.
Exactly. In which case, I would say, boy, it sucks that you're not getting paid any extra for work that you're not doing. But Marvel has the legal rights.
Yeah.
So
I think Marvel definitely has the legal rights, and they signed the contract, so there is that element. Again, assuming that that's in the contract, I don't know for certain.
yeah,
but I'm
exactly.
assuming.
But if it is, then that's my thoughts. If not, then pay them.
But I do think at the same time, obviously it is different. But if you were to adapt a book series, for instance, The Witcher, into a Netflix TV show, I can't remember how to pronounce the author's name, so one of you two jump in. Andrei
Siskovsky.
I think that's it. Yeah,
I'm
pretty sure that's it. He would have gotten direct royalties from the show because they would have had to have bought out the rights to his books, and then possibly he's a producer. I don't know if he is, but in which case he would get more money as well. So it's pretty standard that that's how it works when you're adapting a book. Probably the same with a video game, although I imagine not everyone gets compensation, but probably the writers and creators of the video game probably get compensation.
I don't know if it was to do with the show or the games, but I'm pretty sure
it was the games.
Games, yeah.
And he demanded more money or something. Because...
Yes, because what happened with the games, changing subject slightly, I guess, is CD Projekt Red approached him and said, we would love to make some games based on your books, and he went, oh yeah, pay me some really paltry small fee, because he was just like, these games are never, who fucking cares, sort of thing, really dismissive of the medium. And then they were, great, cool, yeah, okay, here you go. And then they made 3 games from it, one of them being one of the best-selling video games of all time. And after that he went, I want more money because I didn't foresee it being popular. And they went, no, because that's your problem. And that one I do take the side of CG Projekt Red. Like, it's his choice to sign a shitty contract, which I guess comes back to the Marvel writers. I guess if you are writing, if the contract to write for Marvel says that you're not going to get any rights beyond the selling of the actual comic book, then that is kind of a shitty contract. But if you sign it, you sign it. But at the same time, you could make them producers and make them get a small cut or something from the show, right? It wouldn't be that difficult for them to do, and Disney definitely has the money to do it. So it's like they might not be legally obligated to do it, but it's still kind of like, they could go out of their way and be nice to the writers who are basically helping the franchise be successful at the end of the day.
I think that's what it comes down to, though. They could. Like, they don't have to. Yeah. And I think, like, I think that's not a very, and again, I've got to clarify, we don't know, how the contracts were formed or, what's in them. But if they did sign those contracts, then they could give them a bit of extra money. They don't have to. And boycotting a show because someone could have paid them more but didn't have to, I think is a bit stupid.
Yeah. I do think as well, it's rough because sometimes, obviously, like, if you're adapting a character from Marvel Comics into a movie or a TV show, then you're obviously going to be inspired by some of the stuff in the comic books, but there's going to be hundreds of issues for any given character. So, you're grabbing from loads of little bits and that informs your version of the character. That's fine. Little winks and nods to certain moments that characters have had are fine. But when you base an entire property that you're bringing to the screen off of a direct run, that does feel a little bit different. So Daredevil is obviously based largely on The Man Without Fear, season 1. Hawkeye is based on My Life as a Weapon. WandaVision is kind of based on a little bit of House of M, and then there's another comic book that I can't remember the name of that WandaVision's pretty heavily inspired by. Obviously, Thor Ragnarok has elements of Planet Hulk in it and that sort of thing. So, like, there are versions where you go like, yeah, that one's pretty close to being like a direct adaptation. Civil War is pretty close to directly adapting something that someone else did, and you're directly adapting the storyline versus I'm taking inspiration from a bunch of stuff. So it's a thin line that I think, even if the contract didn't say it, it's like, well, where do you draw that line? Because it's quite hard to define the difference between inspired by someone's particular work on a character that, Marvel owns the character, that is completely set in stone, but like loads of different people have worked on that character. Are you inspired by it, or are you directly adapting something with that character? That's where it becomes a little bit hazy and is hard to legally define, because obviously Civil War, named after the comic book, basic premise is not that far from it, but actually the details are pretty distinctly different from the comic book. So yeah, it's a tough one from a legal standpoint to even define anyways. So maybe it doesn't say it in the contract, but it's a gray area legally. We don't know, but I don't know. It's
I mean, like, even still, like what you just said about the details being like different to the overall sort of premise. I mean, it's going to be the same with Hawkeye anyway. Like I would say, like, the overall, like, the comic and the show are going to be different to each other.
I would say more so than a lot of other ones that I've just listed as examples. Hawkeye does feel a lot closer to My Life as a Weapon. Again, there are differences, but we've got, I can't remember his name, but Pizza Dog. We've got Kate Bishop being introduced. We've got the Tracksuit Mafia. And also, like, the visual style of the opening credits is straight from the comic book. So it's not hiding the fact that like 80% of its DNA is that comic book. But again, it's that thing of, Disney probably could and maybe should, because they've got all the money in the world, compensate those people. But at the same time, if they signed a contract that signed away their work, then, if you didn't want to do that, create your own character, I guess, and try and get it published independently. But yeah. There's also obviously the whole thing with Marvel like barely compensating Steve Ditko's family, but that's a whole other can of worms. So
Like, yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm on the side of like this giant corporation who's shafting all of its employees and, freelance like workers, but like the truth is, I don't know how any of it works, and without that knowledge, I couldn't make a sort of
judgment call.
yeah, I couldn't make a properly formed like decision and opinion on the matter.
Yeah.
But I imagine like that Marvel or Disney aren't stupid, and they probably do put clauses like that into their contracts, because at the end of the day, like no matter what types of like media they create, they're still a ruthless, massive conglomerate.
And Disney probably more so than any other ruthless massive conglomerate, because they were the ones who changed the copyright laws to make sure that Mickey Mouse didn't become public domain. So
They're kind of renowned for saving money however they can.
yes.
So.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it sucks for the creators, but as we said, if, because we don't know, but if they signed a contract, then
Tough shit.
yeah, kind of at the end of the day. I'm curious as well. I'm gonna hazard a guess that like going over to like Star Wars and that sort of thing, the Dark Troopers being adapted, Thrawn being adapted, these things from the expanded universe. I'm gonna guess it's probably the same situation with those people not being compensated for the characters they created, because they created it for the Star Wars IP, which ultimately is owned by Disney. So yeah,
Most probably.
Final little thing I just want to talk about on Hawkeye. I assume you two probably don't have this issue, but it's really fucking weird, Kate Bishop's appearance in this show, because she's got black hair and blue eyes, and I know what Haley Steinfeld normally looks like, so it's throwing me off constantly looking at her when I'm like, are you wearing contact lenses? Yes, you are, but they look really good. It's just like it's throwing me, but I feel like if people aren't like big fans of her and haven't watched a lot of her stuff, that might not be as jarring, but
I had no idea.
yeah. As opposed to like Hill House, where one actor has blue contact lenses on and it's really fucking obvious he's wearing contact lenses. It's not obvious in that, but it was just throwing me because it's not obvious. It was making me go like, is she wearing contact? I don't like. Is it just weird lighting? I don't fucking know. So, yeah.
I now that I know that, I very much appreciate that fact, because there are so many different adaptations of stuff where it's just simple stuff, that they could quite easily stick on the actor or actress to make them look more like the character they're meant to be portraying, like contacts or wigs, like I don't know, maybe Annabeth from Percy Jackson. Fuck that film, fuck everyone involved, fuck everything to do with it. Why could they not have just done that in the first fucking film instead of leaving it until the second one?
I mean, playing devil's advocate and defending your favorite film, Percy Jackson, there are scenarios where there are reasons why. Like I know Daniel Radcliffe was supposed to wear green contact lenses in the first Harry Potter film, but apparently he found them really uncomfortable, so they just went, fuck it, you can just have blue eyes the whole film. They then
fair enough.
They then did fuck it with the Harry Potter films, because they constantly go on about how he has his mother's eyes, and they correctly cast Lily to have blue eyes throughout the entirety of that film franchise until a really emotional flashback featuring his mum as a child in the final film, and the actress they cast for young Lily has brown eyes.
Oh.
She's in the film for like 30 seconds, doesn't have like any lines. You could have just cast a ginger actress with blue eyes, but okay, so they fucked it there. And then the other example that I know of, again, this makes me sound like such a fucking fanboy, because I am, but apparently Charlie Cox did try dyeing his hair red for Daredevil, and they went, nah, that doesn't look good, just go with your natural hair color. So yeah, there are scenarios where like it doesn't look good, or the actor can't really work with it, but it's cool that they put that effort in for Kate Bishop. So
yes, yeah, I'm just sad now. I don't know why I brought it up. It was a bad choice.
I imagine you are sad. For the audience's context here, we had to pull Alex away from his normal daily routine, which is locking himself in a dark room with just a TV in it and watching the Percy Jackson film over and over again on repeat. It really is his favorite film. Sorry to take you away from doing that, buddy, for this podcast.
He's really depressed as well because like Amazon or Netflix or something is making an adaptation. He just thinks that they're really gonna fuck it and ruin those perfect movies that they never finished. So
yeah,
no. I'm crossing my fingers so fucking hard that it's gonna be good. I really want it to be good, please. Oh,
if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly.
Shut your bitch ass up.
All right. Things that the media have released that we've engaged with in the week.
And consumed.
He just made me add something to the title, the absolute cunt.
It's always and consumed, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna add it every single week.
Okay. Who wants to go first?
Skyrim. I've been playing Skyrim. Lots and lots of Skyrim. Todd Howard got me again.
Oh. For those of you who don't know, which is probably everyone watching this podcast, Pete doesn't like Skyrim. He hates it. He thinks it's a terrible
bad game.
I don't hate it. I don't think it's a terrible game, although I have said those things. I think it's like a solid 5 out of 10. It's just disappointing and bland, and for some reason it's so many people's favorite fucking video game of all time, and it constantly gets re-released and people buy it, which just makes it a bigger problem. It's not that good. It's really not. It's so painfully average of a video game. It's not bad. I've played a bad game today, but...
You played a bad game?
Yeah, I've played a bad game today.
Oh.
What game have you been playing?
I've been playing...
Sorry, what game have you been consuming?
So I've been playing through... Well, no, let's come back to that, because that's going to be my thing. Let's finish your Skyrim talk, and then... Because otherwise it's going to fuck with the chapters and stuff, so...
Yeah, okay.
I'll be honest, the game is 10 years now, and every time I play it, I end up loving it a little bit more, and I am proper hooked. It's... even though I have spent £10 on literally just buying the game again, except with some mods that I could have downloaded for free on the version I already had, it was still worth it. I don't even care. It was worth it.
Tom's been trying to convince me to get the anniversary edition, and like I keep saying no. And it's not because I don't plan on getting it, because I probably will end up getting it. Because
yeah, I know you will.
I've bought it on pretty much every fucking platform there is by now, and I probably will end up buying it on every other platform it gets released on. The board game's coming out soon. I'm getting that shit.
Question. Why buy it again?
Because I like the game and I want the game.
But you have the game. But you have the game.
Yeah, that wasn't the best argument. The word is like that. Buddy.
You currently own. I'm gonna predict here. At the very least, you own Skyrim on the PC on Steam, and you probably own Skyrim Special Edition because it was a free update on PC on Steam. So that's 2 versions of the game that you almost definitely own already. So why are you going to buy it again?
Because it comes with curated mods.
Okay, download the mods off of Nexus Mod Manager.
Curated mods.
Who fucking cares? Look at what mods. Look at the mod
patches for them.
I don't care. So, look at the mods. Look at the mods that are in the Anniversary Edition. Go, cool. I guarantee I can find a free version on Nexus. It's probably going to be a better version as well, because looking at the Anniversary Edition, it looks worse than my Skyrim original version that's running on EMB graphic mods. Like, I refuse to ever play the Special Edition because the Special Edition didn't have them when it first came out. So why would I fucking bother? I just played my version with my 4K graphics and my graphics processors.
I just want to sit down and play a game. I don't want to have to sit there and mod everything every time I reinstall it.
At this point, it's nostalgia clicking buy now on Skyrim.
Yeah.
This is why they're going to continue to re-release it, though, is because, and again, you could go, oh, I have to re-download the Nexus mods. If you have Nexus Mod Manager, it saves which mods you had. It just automatically re-downloads them, so you don't even need to go and
Yeah,
look for
but
them again.
mods, they break after a while as well if people don't update
Very
them.
rarely, mate. Very rarely.
It's not rare. It's not rare at all.
If you don't know how to mod properly, sure, but
No, I mean like once the game gets patched, most of the mods end up becoming.
yeah, original Skyrim
completely
hasn't been patched
dysfunctional.
properly in years, so that's fine.
But I don't. It's only a tenner. It's a tenner, and it gets you a lot of content.
Yeah, not a tenner's worth of
it's-
content though.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah. By today's standards of charging £10 for an outfit in a video game, yeah, it definitely does. Love it.
So
It's better than £5 horse armor. Let's say that.
Except it does come with horse armor, which is probably about £5 of the £10 cost. So,
It does come with horse armor, but that's tiny.
and
part.
again, it's a free mod if you want horse armor. So
the moral of this segment is go out and buy Skyrim Anniversary Edition.
And
or
sponsor us,
don't
please, Bethesda.
buy a better game. Just
No.
any game, probably better.
Good luck buying a better game. There isn't. Skyrim Anniversary Edition, the best game that ever existed.
I mean,
I'll name at least two games that are better than Skyrim right now: Morrowind and Oblivion. Not in that order.
Nah.
Morrowind's the better of the two, but
Nah.
yes.
Nah.
I disagree there, but I would go along with you for the bit, Tom. However, I can't betray Divinity Original Sin 2 like that. Like,
Better game.
fuck. It's just so good. Like, Skyrim is like really like it's up there as one of my favorite games ever. Original Sin 2 just ekes out above it.
What Skyrim did really, really, really well is advance tech by being bad at it, but paving the way of automation in designing video games, of just copying the same assets over and over and over again and just juggling them into like 20 different dungeons that all look identical. Other games do it better, like Assassin's Creed. Obviously, like any city that they do is just like using the same assets in different ways. So like they pave the way, but if I can literally walk into any of 100 dungeons in Skyrim and go, oh, this is the same as the first one I walked in, next to whatever the first village is in Skyrim, because they all look the same and all have the same monsters in them and the same traps in them and the same dragon doors in them with the same dragon's claw in them. I hate it.
I disagree.
It's so disappointing. Like, that's the thing, is genuinely, if it wasn't a Bethesda game, I don't think I'd be that hard on it. But it's because it's Bethesda and it's like how far they've fallen, and Fallout 4 was a continuation of that trajectory. Love to just see them put an ounce of effort into their video games again, which is why I'm excited for Starfield, because it's a new IP, which hopefully means they're actually putting fucking effort into it.
Maybe. All I can wish for is that they re-release Skyrim again alongside that release. That'd be great. What have you consumed, Alex?
Not an awful lot, really. I mean, I said earlier that I'm like halfway through the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which is pretty good so far. I kind of mentioned, obviously, there was like a lot of shit flying around when they were making the film. Obviously, they had to redesign Sonic, and the like animation company or whatever went bankrupt due to that, and it was kind of a shit experience for everyone involved. But film's pretty enjoyable. I haven't finished it yet, so I can't exactly give like a overall review of it. I've been playing a lot of TFT, Teamfight Tactics.
Yes,
kind of got a little bit of an addiction to it, I think.
I have lost count the amount of times you've asked me to play that.
Haven't played Hunt in weeks.
It's
Well,
very
about
fun.
a week.
I can't help it, man. It's just so good. Just watching
It's
shit
good.
tons of videos on it, like it's becoming kind of a little bit of a problem. Not gonna lie.
At least you haven't spent
Um,
loads of money on it.
No, no, that's true. That's true. It is a game where like I don't need to spend money on it, which is nice
Hmm.
because that's a problem
I
for
thought
me.
you were pro spending money on worthless products like the re-release of Skyrim again.
Oh,
Just
I am,
contradict
but
yourself
like
there. That's again best game ever.
I am, but like there's not a lot in TFT that requires you to spend money on. Like like I've not actually played Marvel Strike Force in probably about a week now, and so I'm not spending money on all the shards and bundles that kept popping up. So it's nice to be able to play something that isn't making me just like want to bankrupt myself.
Still sponsor us, Marvel Strike Force, though, because your game is good, and although it's very heavy on the advertising, I just need to click the X in the top corner and then don't spend any money on the game. But
For people like me who has a spending problem, though, it's not good.
fair.
I'm even holding money. Look, I'm like, I'm getting ready to give this over to Bethesda for the next Skyrim re-release.
Do you know what my other massive fucking problem with Skyrim compared to all of the other Elder Scrolls games is that the best way to play Skyrim is to never start the main quest because the dragons get so fucking annoying and they're all the exact same fight as the first fight you fucking do with a dragon, and they're so fucking stupid when you're just trying to walk from one objective to another and a dragon comes and fucks with you, that the best way to play the game if you don't install any mods is to just not do the main quest because it's not worth it. It just ruins the experience as soon as you start doing the main quest. Best way to do it is to download the mod that allows you to change what start you have in the game, so you don't even have to interact with the main quest. You don't have to go to Helden or Helgen, whatever it's called. But
I like fighting dragons.
it's great. It's exact same every single time you do it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It is broke though, because it's shit.
It ain't broke. Bethesda never never release a broken game. Never.
Oh, don't
Not
even get me
once.
started on the fucking
Never,
double
ever,
standards
ever.
where people forgive Bethesda for releasing broken games constantly, and yet CD Projekt Red is apparently a pariah in the games industry, and everyone's going to slam them in every single article that's ever put on a fucking website, ever, because Cyberpunk was about as broken as Skyrim was when it first released.
You know what, actually, Pete? Now that you bring, I've been thinking on it for a few minutes since you brought it up, and maybe there is one other game that does come close to being the best game ever, alongside Skyrim.
Just before you
I
continue,
will-
I'm about to make my job harder, I imagine, when editing this, but continue.
It's a little game called Fallout 76.
Yep, I've made it harder for myself to edit this because I'm going to have to change the background to just the two people. Now he's on the bottom. Okay, he's back. Okay.
Hello. Sorry, I must be having Discord issues. Discord don't have their shit together, unlike Bethesda.
I'll agree, Discord doesn't have this shit together. We should be using Foundry. Foundry, please sponsor us. Actually, don't sponsor us. You need all the money you can get, but you're great, Foundry. I love you.
Why Foundry?
Not Foundry,
Gilded.
Gilded. Yeah, listen, Foundry was on the brain.
Yeah, they're gonna sponsor us, so you can't even get their name right.
Foundry's also great. I don't take it back. But
Foundry is great.
But Gilded's great. What else have you been consuming then, Alex?
Pretty much just TFT, honestly.
Percy Jackson.
No, I fucking have not. I guess a little update for anyone who cares. I finished the third Witcher book, on to the fourth now. Still very fucking good. It's getting into like politics now, and it's so intriguing.
I don't like politics in my narratives. Any film, video game, book, or comic book that features politics, fuck it.
Yeah.
I just love when people say, like, can we have politics outside of our movies, TV shows, whatever? And I'm like, pretty much everything has politics in it. What?
By politics, I mean like actual politics. Like it's getting into some like Game of Thrones type shit. And honestly, it paints such a good picture of like the world it's set in. it's
Just like Game of
honestly,
Thrones season 8.
brilliant. Yeah, definitely. That thing that doesn't fucking exist. It yeah, it's actually really captivating. Usually I don't like stuff like that. I prefer, like, well, I guess the actual sort of fantasy side of things, but it like it really paints a picture of being in like this sort of medieval time where, you could imagine like all these different kings and stuff sort of like conspiring against each other and what have you. Like, my God, it's so good. It's so different to what I'd usually be into, but it does it in such a great way. So yeah,
I'm
great
afraid to
update.
say I won't be reading the Witcher books particularly soon. I was going to read them next, but I paused. Because in like 2 weeks, and I've asked for it for Christmas, so hopefully I get it for Christmas. If not, I'll buy it shortly afterwards. The Final Expanse book comes out, baby. So that's gone straight to the top of my reading list.
Fair enough.
But you should read the Expanse books when you're done with the Witcher books.
I maybe will. I still want to go through Lord of the Rings.
Yikes. Good luck with that.
And then the Children of Durin and also the Silmarillion and all the other fucking
Good luck with that.
horrendously mind fucking books there are.
Yeah, good luck with that. It's the bad game I've been playing, and I will say it's worse than Skyrim. I'll put that on the record. It's worse than Skyrim. I've recently been playing through the Splinter series, which is great, and I had to finish it off with Splinter Blacklist, which I remember being okay with when it came out. It's very similar to Splinter Conviction, which is a decent game, but Blacklist is just bad. It's just bad. They replaced Sam Fisher's voice actor. Michael Ironside did not return because basically they wanted to mocap it and he couldn't do the mocap, so they went, let's hire someone who can do the mocap and the voice. And like, Sam's supposed to be in like his 50s at this point, and he sounds like he's in his 20s because he is in his 20s or 30s. Tom, you'll probably know who the actor was, or at least the face of him. The guy who played the bully in Smallville season 1, who ties Clark to the Scarecrow.
Oh, yeah. I can't picture his face, though.
Well, a little blonde American dickhead. He's probably a very nice guy, but his voice just does not suit Sam Fisher's at all. But that's not even the biggest problem. Glitches, that's a problem. I had to look up how to continue a level because I was hiding behind cover following someone and they just wouldn't move. So that was fun. And just the story's stupid. Like, the fucking end of the game is so fucking stupid because you beat the enemy and he's like, if you kill me, you'll start 12 world wars. And if you don't kill me, I'll spill all my secrets in court. And so then Sam goes, okay, I won't kill you then. And then they don't put him on trial because then the American president announces he was killed. So the 12 world wars then, that's what's happening? Like, if the world believes he's dead, the result is going to be the same as if you killed him. So it just doesn't make... Anyways, it's just the story's stupid and gameplay's okay, but it's just... I kind of... Part of me wants Ubisoft to make another Splinter Cell game, and part of me doesn't, because it'll probably be shit.
Probably some kind of team-based shooting game.
What, like when they introduced Sam Fisher in the mobile game that he was in, or when they introduced him in Rainbow Six Siege?
Yeah.
What else have I consumed? I finished Midnight Mass. Last week, I think we talked briefly about Midnight Mass, and I said I wasn't loving it. I now love it. It's probably my favorite of the 3 Mike Flanagan Netflix horror shows. But
I've been hearing his reactions from downstairs. It most certainly triggered some responses from him.
its first 2 episodes are kind of mediocre because it's very slow burn, even compared to Hill House and Bly Manor. But it starts going properly around episode 3, and the first 2 episodes are important for setting like the tone and the world that it's set in, so that it's needed. But episode 3 is when the plot starts properly going, and then it just takes a complete fucking cool twist that I really enjoyed, and just keeps going and just knocks it out of the park with every episode from that point on. So I would highly recommend and I haven't played any more of Ruined King because I wanted to finish off Splinter Cell before I did. So, which I finished just before the
I haven't
podcast.
been playing anymore either.
Hopefully I'll be able to talk about Ruined King next week because I've got the next 2 weeks off, so I'll actually get to play some of it. So
I don't know if I'll bother. I might refund it.
damn.
Really?
It's just not my type of game, really.
No.
Like it's
Fair.
just the whole combat side of it doesn't really appeal to me. Honestly, I'd probably get as much out of it if I just refunded it and just watched the story on YouTube or something.
Fair. Didn't look like my cup of tea either, to be honest.
I'm not sure if it's going to be my cup of tea, but I'm going to stick with it, I reckon.
How much did it cost?
Money.
20 quid or something?
Something like
20
that.
quid? You know you could get with that 20 quid, don't you, Alex?
Yes, I do.
A good game. Witcher 3 is usually on sale.
I already
He already
own all
has
the Witcher
Witcher 3.
games.
He was-
I bought all of the Witcher games, what was it, yesterday?
Yeah.
Because they're on like a massive sale. I got like the Witcher 1 and 2 for like £2.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I got Witcher 3 and all of its DLC for 20 quid, and Witcher 3 on its own is definitely worth 60 quid, and both of its DLC are like worth 30 quid each easily. So,
Mm-hmm.
I even bought like
Gwent?
shit, I can't remember what it's called. I bought like the adventure game.
Oh, yeah. Wait, you mean the
and there
adventure
was,
game
like,
that Tommy bought us ages ago and keeps on
Yeah,
wanting
you
us to
didn't
play?
buy the adventure game.
No. It was like it's like the Tales of the Witcher or something. It's like an RPG type thing with like Gwent involved in it.
Thronebreaker. Thronebreaker.
Yeah.
Thronebreaker.
Thronebreaker.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
storyline Gwent. I've never played that, but I
Yeah.
like Gwent, so maybe I should give it a go at some point.
You probably would like Thronebreaker.
But yeah, so I already own all them, so that extra 20 quid I could put towards Skyrim Anniversary Edition.
Or you could not and save your money. Do you know what's worth getting, actually? But you don't need the Anniversary Edition or the Special Edition, you just need the normal edition of Skyrim, is the free Total Conversion mod, Enderall, which is like 10 times better than Skyrim and is free because it was made using Skyrim's engine, so they can't sell it. And it's made by a tiny team in Germany and is, as I said, 10 times better than Skyrim.
But does it have horse armor?
Probably. I can't remember. I haven't played it in a hot minute. And if it didn't, I could probably mod it in because you can do that sort of thing.
So when are you going to refund it and get the Anniversary Edition?
I guess right
Do
now.
it right now, yeah. on the podcast.
Okay, yep, I'm doing it right now. How do I get to account details? What's this? View purchase history. I think that's how you get to it.
Yeah.
Ruined King, £25. Oh wow, even more money. I would like a refund. I'd like to request a refund. Choose refund method. Refund to my debit.
Just to let you know,
Ooh.
instead of paying £15 for it on Steam, you can get it for £12 on CD Keys. Please sponsor us, CD Keys.
Don't sponsor us, CD Keys. They're a scummy company.
Are they?
Yes, like any other CD Keys. What's the word?
I'm pretty sure
Grabbing
that they just
Website.
buy games in bulk
Yeah,
and then
which
sell
is
them that way.
scammy.
Is it?
Yeah, because they usually buy like knockoff copies or foreign copies and then translate them into English. I can't remember the full breakdown of it, but like any company that does that is basically stealing money from the developers.
I thought they were just buying them in bulk from the distribution companies
Pretty
and then
sure
selling the
it's
keys.
still shafting
Game,
developers. in
people
some
like
way.
G2A actually sell like stolen keys and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure CD Keys just do all the deals with the actual game companies. I don't really know.
Either way, I prefer not to be sponsored by someone like CD Keys. Here's something that you can buy with £25, which is more worth your money. Red Dead Redemption 2 is currently 50% off, £27.49. Borderlands 3 is £12.49. That's probably decent. Deathloop is currently $24.99. Ooh, Deathloop is $24.99. I might buy that. Cyberpunk is currently $24.99.
Don't buy it.
Do buy it because it's a good game.
It's terrible.
You can't sit there and then praise Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk's
working
most
on
of its
Skyrim.
Cyberpunk's most of its issues have now been fixed to the point that it has got constantly mostly positive reviews in the last 2 weeks, and
Yeah, like Skyrim.
and it's even when it was broken, so was Skyrim when it released, and it worked mostly fine for me when it released, and it was a better game than Skyrim. So
I never had any problems with Skyrim when it released.
No.
Cyberpunk,
I guarantee
literally
you
couldn't
did. Maybe
even
not
play.
game-breaking ones, but things like people flying up into the air, which is still a bug in the game.
All right, well, at least I could play it, unlike Cyberpunk.
What else? Predator Hunting Grounds was a decent amount of fun for a couple of hours, so that's currently £17.49. Vermintide is £5.94 currently. Wasteland 2 is £5.94 currently. Yeah, there's just a lot of games you can get for £25, which are better than Skyrim.
Yeah, I did when I was playing Cyberpunk. I really was kind of annoyed with that game that I couldn't turn around and give all of my spare gear to Lydia the housecarl. That really got on my nerves.
No, you can just leave it in your
There's
apartment
not even
instead.
dragon shouts in that game. Why did they even bother making a game?
Yeah, what's the point in having a game when you don't have a companion who is sworn to carry your burdens?
Yeah.
It's just fucking depressing.
On the subject of Borderlands 3, actually, I pre-ordered the most expensive edition of Tiny Tina's Wonderlands yesterday.
How much you spend on that was like £90 or something, wasn't it?
80 quid.
Hey.
Yeah, you're
So,
really not good with money, are you?
No, but also I love Borderlands, so...
Here we go. Disco Elysium, one of the most critically acclaimed games in the past couple of years, is currently £17.49, or if you want the Final Cut bundle, it's £22.48.
We both already own that.
Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. I should probably go back and play that at some point.
When you're not playing Skyrim.
Yeah. Although, to be fair, I've kind of got the urge to play Bannerlord again.
Also a
Have
better
you?
game than Skyrim.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that far.
I would.
I've because of The Witcher and everything. Obviously, I said it's kind of set in that like medieval type thing.
Yeah.
I've just had like the urge to go out and try and take over kingdoms and shit again. I went to start it up today, but I had to update it, and then I forgot to enable cheats because I wanted to just do a cheat run this time. Because last time I did like an actual run, and well, I just can't be bothered this time. I just want to do like a quick game where I can see, how quick I can get a kingdom up and running.
Yeah.
That brings me so much joy. I have more playtime in Hunt Showdown than I do in Skyrim.
Anyway, I've submitted my refund request. Just need to see if I actually get it. I think I have 2 hours on the game, which is like
The cusp.
Yeah. So we'll see, I guess. But maybe we'll have an update for everyone next week.
Or maybe we can talk about good games next week.
Fingers crossed I can let everyone know that I did indeed purchase the anniversary of edition of Skyrim.
I mean, you're
The
going to
money
buy
I
it
got
regardless
refunded.
of whether you get the refund or not, because you're a terrible human being who's helping fund a company that's lazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That, or as the kids say, that's based.
Going back to that again, are we?
I just think it's funny. I think it's a funny word.
Right, so a Mass Effect TV show is maybe in development. Amazon is maybe reaching the end of a deal to do a Mass Effect TV show. Also, free game significantly better than Skyrim, even Mass Effect 3. I fucking said it. Yeah, what's our thoughts on that?
Not that excited, to be honest.
No?
It might be okay.
No. I just... Mass Effect is just 1, 2, and 3. I know 3 has its controversy, but I think they are near perfect, and I just don't want. I'm worried what they're going to do with it. I'm really worried.
I don't think there's been any word on what the plot would be, but I would hope that they're not going to adapt the free games. Because
I really hope not.
Again, like with any other video game which is an RPG, it's multiple choice, and like so defining I guess it wouldn't be canon because it would be its own continuity, but like a definitive Shepherd run that lots of people would identify as the canon run would be I think their Mass Effect as a world is like rife with opportunities to tell cool stories in, so I'm excited for it as long as it's not a Commander Shepard TV show. I don't even want Commander Shepard appearing in it because my Shepard doesn't look like default Shepard, so it's that sort of element
that's
as
the
well.
thing. Everyone's got their own head canon of how it goes, so don't go near that.
But they could do a show about just another human Spectre. They could do a show about the Genophage. I think one of the coolest things they could do, although it's already a very good book series, so they wouldn't need to, is there's a whole book series about Admiral Anderson, one of the main characters in Mass Effect, with the first book detailing what happened between him and Saren, because in the backstory for Mass Effect 1, the villain Saren is a Turian Spectre, and Admiral Anderson was almost the first human Spectre, but something happened on a mission that he went on with Saren, which caused him to basically get shafted and fall into like political disgrace and have to scrape his way back up to being an admiral. So that's like a really cool story. As I said, already adapted into a really good book, or not adapted, I guess, was a really good book. But like doing a story about that, or First Contact War, really, really cool. Or just to have a story that's not really to do with any of that, but just set in the Mass Effect world. I think it is interesting to me that the final season of Expanse is about to start on Amazon, and that's like the big sci-fi show that they bought a couple of years back, and a lot of people have compared the Expanse to Mass Effect, and then as the Expanse is ending, they're like, let's just buy the rights to Mass Effect. So maybe that is the intention, is to replace it with another very big IP in sci-fi. But yeah, I'm excited.
We'll probably find out in like 6 years,
or less.
maybe less.
Any other news that people want to talk about?
Don't think there's much else going on, really.
I think that pretty much covers it. Yeah. You wanna see us out, Alex?
No, I did the intro. Someone else's job to do the outro.
You're the host today.
Thank you for watching the Higgledy Piggledy podcast. We hope you enjoyed this special episode. It's not really special. It's exactly the same as every other episode, but nice. Oh, actually, no, one last thing. I briefly talked about this to Tommy. Did you see, nothing happened from it, but did you see the rumors that there was going to be a fourth act to Arcane? So we are talking about Arcane.
We made it so far.
A fourth act? No.
So apparently Riot sent out some like gift packages to certain streamers or whatever, with instructions to not open the whole thing on camera and only open certain sections on the dates that were specified. And it was a box with 4 sections in it, and the first 3 sections lined up with the release date of Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and the 4th section, people were like, was that going to be the release date of Act 4, which was a week after Act 3? But nothing came of it. I think like some cosmetic stuff got released in League on that day, but obviously there was no 4th act sneakily released on Netflix. But it's caused people to theorize that maybe the show was originally supposed to be 4 acts, and then they decided to change it up, whether that was, COVID related, causing production issues, or whether it's just that they felt like the end to Act 3 was a stronger end for that first season, or the fact that 3-act structure tends to be a pretty standard thing. But it's interesting. But yeah, nothing came of it. So, and we've got a season 2 confirmed. So whatever, if there was going to be a 4th act, it's probably going to be in season 2. So
yeah, probably.
Right, thank you for coming to the Higgledy Piggledy podcast. Just wanted to mention that right at the very end because we can't go a week without mentioning Arcane. What I hope you do in this time of year, if you're American, you've obviously just celebrated Thanksgiving. We're coming towards Christmas, if you celebrate that, or just the winter holidays, or if you're Australian,
Hanukkah.
or Hanukkah, or if you're Australian, you're coming up to the summer holidays. Nice. Get them swim trunks out. Except for with COVID still ravaging your country, in which case, don't. We hope you have a lovely week. We'll see you next week. Please be responsible with your money. And don't buy Skyrim. Again.
Play it.
Buy it.
Because you probably already bought it.
If I will say this much, if you play it because you already own it, not the anniversary edition, because you've then been irresponsible with your money, if you already own an older copy and you've played that, I'm not going to judge you that much because everyone has their guilty pleasures. But don't buy the anniversary edition. It's a waste of fucking money. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Goodbye.
Skyrim's great.
You know I can just mute your audio and just play my microphone, right?
And that would be very biased of you and not very based.
Based.
That was such a dad cackle at the end there.
I don't know if I'm going to bother leaving this bit in the end of the podcast. This is the
I thought this was post podcast.
This is the post credit scene. Teasing next week's episode.
I've already stopped recording.
I'm still recording, and obviously we can just use the Discord audio that I'm recording. So.
I mean, fuck it, sure. Right, I'd better save this.
Still rolling. Just gonna keep this in the podcast as well.
Do it. I don't care.